levels. Global temperatures of 1.5 Celsius degrees above pre-industrial levels, so 1880 roughly, are now more likely than not to happen within the next 5 years. That's what scientists at the World Meteorological Organization have had to say. There is now, they say, a 66% likelihood, so a two-thirds likelihood that we will be breaching the global warming threshold for at least a year by 2027, 2028. That's in their annual update. And of course, that Paris Agreement on climate change back in 2015 aimed to keep the long-term temperature increases below 1.5 Celsius to avoid passing what we were told was an irreversible tipping point. So, time to sell up, time to just give up on life, stop having children. Don't bother with anything in the future because it's never going to happen because, you know what, the world is on fire. Oh, sorry, drowning. Oh, it's so difficult to keep up. One of the many different options. But let's talk about this with Jim Dale. He's a senior risk meteorologist and he's also author of Whether or Not. Good morning to you, Jim.
Good morning, Julia.
Well, I mean, you know, it's all doom and gloom, isn't it? I mean, it's all over for mankind, really, isn't it? What a shame.
We're wearing the right colours.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in black for a reason. That's why I'm wearing black today. I mean, yeah, look, that's it. It's over. The human race is dead. The world is dead. Let's give up on everything, right?
No, we don't give up. But this is a line in the sand. This is a line in the sand that climate deniers can go back to their homes and prepare for redundancy because basically the argument is virtually over. And whether you believe in man-made climate change or climate change naturally, this is only going in one direction. And those who doubt this only have to look at the stats. This is why WMO have come out with their prediction. And to be honest with you, you only have to go back a month. Look at April. A third of the world's population endured a crippling heat wave, one degree or another. I was down in the Far East when this is going on.
And they're not used to high temperatures there, are they?
Well, yes, but not to record temperatures. You've got to put this into context. These are temperatures that basically we've not seen before as a human race. Not even 2,000 years ago in the Roman times when the sun was at a different angle and all the rest of it. So this is new territory. We can see what's going on.
Can I just read you a headline? Tell me if you think this is the correct headline. Met Office, this is the Met Office, as well as the World Meteorological Organization, but Met Office warns of global temperature rise exceeding the 1.5 Celsius limit. In the next 5 years, greenhouse gases may push global warming past the threshold set by the Paris deal. So that headline, that's what you... That is the concern.
That book behind me that you've mentioned, 3 years ago I wrote that book, and I say exactly that, and I've said this on your programme before.
Well, no, but this is my point, though. No, they're saying in the next 5 years we're going to hit that limit. I'm just checking. No, I'm just checking because this article was written in January 2018.
Well, OK, look, it's small margins, and they really are small margins, but those small margins...
No. 1.5 Celsius temperature above the pre-industrial level in around 1880 is catastrophic for the planet. Isn't it? So 5 years ago, the warning was we'd hit it in 5 years.
You talk about migration very often and the difficulties of that and what that might mean to the UK. Once climate change, and it's happening now, once that starts to manifest itself in some of the third world countries, for example, Africa, some Asian countries and whatever, that migration pressure is going to rise and rise. Why? Because there's going to be nothing to eat, nothing to drink. And so...
The world's getting warmer, but the world is getting greener. There is no evidence of food shortages. On the contrary, we are now there is now less agricultural land being used on the world than there was 10, 20 years ago, and we are feeding more people. There's simply no evidence for that. When people are starving, they're usually starving because of war or civil war.
Well, that's part of the equation. I mentioned civil war.
There's no evidence whatsoever that rising global temperatures are impacting on food supplies. Quite the contrary. It's actually an opposite graph.
Sometimes you've got to look beyond our own shores. You've got to look what's going on.
No, I'm not talking about what's happening in our country. Jim, it is a simple matter of ascertainable objective fact that we are now producing, despite it being warmer than it was in pre-industrial times and warmer than it was 20, 30 years ago, we are producing more food using less... Oh, well, darling, we're coming out of an ice age from a few centuries ago.
20,000 years ago.
The little ice age, as you know perfectly well.
Not to this extent, and look, the temperature graphs, the CO2.
But don't ignore the point I'm making. You're saying this argument is that it's going to be catastrophic. Well, it might be nice having some hot summers here, but look at what's happening in the third world, you say, and people not having food and the migration issue. I'm telling you, it is simply a matter of fact. There is no impact on food production in the third world. The only place there has been an impact, places like Sri Lanka, where the government went for absurd net zero policies and crashed the economy and left people starving.
It doesn't happen like that. You've got to have a wider view of things. You talk about
not involving facts.
We talked last year, didn't we? I was at Heathrow Airport and it was 40.1 degrees. Actually, remember?
Yeah, near the hot tarmac with the jets taking off. It's amazing.
That makes no difference. Meteorological observers like myself know how these things work, unlike most people who are on the climate denying side who do not, who with the greatest of respect, you don't know how these things are measured and why they're measured. And
I know that the satellite data is different from the surface temperature data.
Data is nothing to do with it whatsoever.
No, satellite data on temperature is utterly meaningless.
Professionally done. So, look, one-way street from now on. We are wearing the right colours.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It will take time. It will not be a straight line, but you've been warned.
We have been warned, but the thing is, we've been warned again and again, pretty much every few years. I mean, I think New York and Miami are supposed to be underwater by now. That's not happened because rising sea... No, there have been predictions made. The people who you
Julia,
put... Jim, let me finish. I let you finish.
Situation.
Jim, again and again, we've had predictions from very strong scientific experts, but also from the people that you put up as the people, the talking heads to reach the mass public about what we should be expecting in the years to come if we don't do X or Y. Well, we've not done X or Y, and these things never come to pass. So here's my final question to you: if we do breach this 1.5 Celsius degree temperature, now bearing in mind this is temperature, we're already at what 1.2, 1.3. If we go up to 1.5, this is above pre-industrial times. Bearing in mind that the temperatures have been rising a lot pre those industrial times, and yes, they did go through a higher rise. They have, but not in line at all with carbon emissions, which have been going at a completely different exponential rate. If we do breach that, let's face it, randomly chosen 1.5 figure that people have decided is the threshold, the turning point. If we breach that figure, we are then looking at catastrophic destruction of our planet and of humanity. If in 2027 we reach it, can we all just relax on the basis that we've reached the tipping point, we're all going to hell in a handcart, and you lot can all stop nagging us to turn our heating off?
No, it's not a case of that. It's a trigger point, basically.
But if we passed it, then what's the point?
Yeah, and those triggers will start to be set off. It doesn't have...
No, we've been told originally it was 2 degrees, and then it was changed to 1.5, that if we reach that temperature, then that's it. It was game over, and that's why it was so important. So once we reach it, can we all just relax and I can put my heating back on, I can keep my diesel car and carry on getting flights as often as I can?
We finished?
Yeah.
Sorry, you broke up. I got the producer in my ear.
Oh, no, did you break up? Did you come off the line? Yes, I have. So why are you saying if it is a catastrophic turning point, why can we not just, give up at that point?
Because you don't give up. That's not human nature to give up. If you wish to give up, you can give it up. But that's not the way it works. We got to mitigate these things. It's the next steps.
I thought we couldn't. I thought we couldn't after 1.5.
The next steps are mitigation, which is happening now in many countries, perhaps slower in the UK, but nonetheless it's happening. And then the big one is safety. Safety, as in the heat wave last year, killed 5,000 people.
How many people died in the cold winter?
And cold winter.
9 out of 10 deaths related to weather, related to temperature, are resulting from cold, not heat.
Both.
No.
Climate change.
If extreme temperatures kill people, Jim, 9 out of 10 people who die from extreme temperatures die in the cold, including in Africa, by the way.
That's not a problem. The point is climate change.
That's not a problem. People dying from the cold is not a problem.
What happened this winter? The stratospheric warming, the distillation of the polar vortex, that made cold weather come into the UK. Part of climate change is the chaos that unravels from that, and that does include cold as well. So extremes in all directions, whether we're talking floods, in Italy, heat or cold.
They've never been flooded before. But again, there's no evidence that most of these so-called catastrophic events are actually on the increase at all. It's just they're on the telly more often. Jim, we'll have to leave it there. I could do this all morning. Sorry your line cut out briefly there. But he's a senior risk meteorologist. He's also author of Whether or Not.